FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's October 16th, 2017. Well, over the weekend, we hear rumors ruminating from the Senate that McConnell is under attack, loss of confidence in his leadership. What of it? Well, as always, questions, comments, email me at kl@kerrylutz.com. Right now with us, Wayne Allyn Root, rootforamerica.com. And Wayne, you're doing everything now. If I started going down your ventures, we wouldn't have any time for an interview here.
Yeah, it's my life's gotten crazy, which is why I even told you, let's rush this interview, because I don't have time to do interviews anymore. It's crazy, but national radio, national TV, make sure everyone knows, by the way, where to reach me. They can reach me at rootforamerica.com is my website, of course, always the first place to start. And then my TV show is on every night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific on Newsmax TV, which is channel 349, Direct TV. You got to have Direct TV. If you don't have it, it's on many cable systems around the country as well. And if you don't have it on cable, then it's Newsmax TV on cable. Then you can find my show at newsmaxtv.com. And my radio show is at usaradio.com every afternoon, 6 to 9 p.m. East Coast time, 3 to 6 West Coast time.
All right. Hey, so what of Mitch McConnell, Mr. Weak Chin here himself? My mother always said, don't trust people with weak chins. No insult to those of you out there that have weak chins. I don't know if I believe it or not, but what the heck is going on? Can this guy survive? Is it time for him to go and make a graceful exit and have a nice, lengthy and healthy retirement?
Well, I don't mean this as a knock on you, but that's a silly question when you're talking to me. Come on, I've said this guy should be gone for years already. I mean, that's, I've ranted about Mitch McConnell for years and years and years that he is incompetent, that he is, just a wishy-washy, moderate to liberal Republican who believes in corporate interests only, that accomplishes absolutely none of the Trump agenda and has no interest in ever making the Trump agenda work. So who the hell needs a guy like that around? He's just an impediment or an obstacle that's stands in the way of everything I want to achieve, Trump wants to achieve, Tea Party wants to achieve, conservatives want to achieve. Mitch McConnell is a problem, a fossil standing in the way, and I'd like to see him go, and there's nothing new. I've said it for years. He's just no good. Neither is Paul Ryan any good.
Right.
Paul Ryan stands in the way, maybe slightly better than Mitch McConnell, but not much. We've now heard quite a few leaks of private conversations with Paul Ryan. I haven't heard a leak of anything with Mitch McConnell, but I've heard several leaks that Ryan told his closest associates on multiple occasions, I hate Donald Trump. I will never do anything for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is dead to me. Well, these guys can't be running the party when Trump is the president. They're standing in the way of everything we need that Donald Trump is doing. And I believe in everything Donald Trump's doing. Look at last week. I mean, the average person doesn't have time to read anything but the mass media, the mass mainstream media. And the mainstream media really doesn't cover anything Trump does other than hitting it as a negative. But sometimes they hit him hard and say it's terrible, and sometimes they don't even mention what he does. But just in the last week, he was destroying with executive order the clean power rules that put coal companies out of business and took jobs away from coal workers. Just in the last week, he was using executive order to kill more climate change legislation. Just in the last week, he used executive order to basically kill off the Iran treaty. Just in the last week, he used executive order to kill off large portions of Obamacare, including the ability now to buy over state lines, the ability to join a group, if you're a small businessman, the ability to buy catastrophic policies that cover very little and cost very little, all things Obama wouldn't allow. He killed off the subsidies that were propping up the insurance companies, thereby maybe killing the entire Obamacare without ever having to repeal it. He is the greatest president of our lifetime. In 10 months, he already blows away Ronald Reagan. Reagan is now my second favorite president ever. Trump is first. This happened in a week, folks, and the average person doesn't even know it's happening.
Let's not forget that since he became president, there are 13,000 less federal employees than when he took office. I mean, that's pretty amazing in itself.
Well, that's why the debt is down. You know, in the first 10 months of Trump, the debt is up $400 billion. I wish I could say it was down, but it's up $400 billion. In the first 10 months of Obama, the debt was up $1.3 trillion. So that's $900 billion more in spending in the first 10 months by Obama. So Trump, it's not like it's negative. That's my biggest complaint about America. I don't think we're ever going to be saved. We're in a long, slow downhill decline because no one's ever going to cut spending. It's only going to go up a little less, but it'll never go down. And the problem is you need to cut it by $20 trillion to even begin to affect the national debt. So we're in a lot of trouble, but at least he slowed it down dramatically. And a lot of people don't understand, Kerry, that when you cut the subsidies for the insurance companies, that's billions more in savings. In other words, liberals see it as, oh my God, you're putting old people in the street to die. And the way you got to see it is you can't spend every dollar on everyone and everything, because if you do, your country goes bankrupt and it's no good for anybody, and we all starve in the street. So what Trump is doing is starving the spending, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. So, and he's just getting started. Look, he still has hundreds of appointments that haven't been made yet, and so much more that really the obstructionist Republicans have stopped from accomplishing because they don't want to see spending going down. That's why the party labels mean nothing at this point, or mean very little, because they all seem to be in cahoots together, Wayne, Yeah,
well, they should mean something. I'm a proud Republican, but I'm not proud of Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, Lindsey Graham, John McCain, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins. There's certain Republicans I can't stand. I don't believe they should be under the label. I represent Republicans. You represent Republicans. The party labels should still matter. It's that there's many rats and traitors and turncoats and what I call rots, Republicans on the take, hiding among the Republican label and using the Republican label, but they're the ones who are using it wrong. Barry Goldwater and Ronald Reagan were the ones who defined what Republican means. It's supposed to mean less government, limited government, less spending, lower taxes, more power to the people, and let the people keep more of their own money. As long as you believe that, you and I are Republicans. Susan Collins doesn't believe that. She should not be a Republican. Let her switch parties. And while we're at it, by the way, Joe Manchin should be switching from Democrat to Republican if he wants to be reelected in West Virginia. He's out of his mind for not making that switch. I heard the rumor he was going to 2 weeks ago, but I haven't heard a single word about it since. And, there are a few decent Democrats who ought to be switching to the Republican Party, and Joe Manchin is one of them.
Yeah, agreed. Well, let's see what happens. But he still has voted for Obamacare, Manchin. He's voted for a lot of these popular government
programs. Well, he's been shackled. He's been shackled. You can't stay with the Democrats and vote against Obamacare, but if he becomes a Republican, now he's free, take the shackles off, and he can vote the way his conscience really allows him to vote. I think he's fantastic for a Democrat. He's not fantastic for a Republican, but if you give him the R label, I think he changes completely. And he's very good on most capitalist issues, most economic issues. So I think Joe Manchin will be a fine Republican. If you take the shackles off, he'll vote the way that he's supposed to vote, and he really wants to vote.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. And the whole state of West Virginia was a Democratic stronghold for forever. It was Clinton country, and now they hate her. They despise the Clintons, and they went overwhelmingly for Trump just about as much as any state in the Deep South did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Manchin would be much safer switching to Republican anyway, because he's in the most Republican state in America other than Utah and Oklahoma. Those are now the three most Republican states, Utah, Oklahoma, and West Virginia. So you got to be crazy to remain a Democrat and be fairly moderate and conservative on issues in a place like West Virginia. Why wouldn't you just make the switch to the Republican Party, thereby just completely destroying any opposition? There won't be any opposition. You're guaranteed re-election. Joe Manchin will be welcomed by the Republican Party.
For sure. And so we're in a war here. What do you think is going to be the upshot here, Wayne? What's going to happen? Your best guess.
You mean as far as taxes, as an example?
As far as the Trump agenda and as far as the establishment GOP goes, who's going to win this war?
Well, I'm picking Steve Bannon's side. I'm a Steve Bannon Republican. I'm not shy about that. I'm proud of it. I think Steve Bannon's fantastic. He's leading a battle. I don't know if he realizes I now have a national radio and TV show that is very important to his battle. So hopefully he'll pick up on that fact that Steve Bannon can run with that banner with me. because I've got a huge following now. You wouldn't believe. Hundreds of emails a day. I used to get hundreds a week and think I was overwhelmed. Hundreds a month overwhelmed. Now I get hundreds a day. And every one of them says the same things, how I know what I bring to the table. They all say, you remind me of Donald Trump. You speak the truth and you say the things that I'm thinking. Every time you open your mouth, Wayne, on Newsmax TV, you sound like me. And I've never heard another person who sounds like me openly in the media besides you. And I've never heard anyone in politics who sounds like me other than Donald Trump. So, I mean, that's where I come from. Is I am a Steve Bannon, Donald Trump, pitchfork in hand, kill the establishment. And I mean, of course, politically kill. Don't let anybody misquote me on that. Not figuratively, but at the ballot box, I want to destroy the Democratic Party. I don't want to ever hurt anybody. And I haven't noticed any Republicans or conservatives or Tea Partiers walking around murdering anybody lately. Last I checked, the guy in Alexandria, Virginia, was a Bernie Sanders supporter who shot people. Last I checked, the guy who stabbed people in Portland, Oregon, was a Bernie Sanders supporter. My sources tell me that the shooter in Las Vegas, Stephen Paddock, was a 30-year registered Democrat in Florida, who most probably is a anti-Trumper. So it's always Democrats, liberals, loony liberals that kill people. When I say the word kill or destroy, I'm talking about at the ballot box. I'm not talking about literally. I'm talking about just an image here that we need to win elections. That's it.
Yeah, well, when you say that, they're projecting because they really do want to do Republicans and people who disagree with them harm. I was having a talk with a guy. I met him once before, and I said, that 95% of the felony warrants in Los Angeles County are for illegal aliens. And he was cursing and screaming, saying, that's true. That's not true. That's a lie. And I pull it up.
Fake news. Fake news. They love that. Fake news.
Yeah. I pull it up. I pull up the article, and he says, he pulls up the Southern Poverty Law Center and says this institution for immigration reform or whatever is a hate group. I said, the SPLC says I'm a hate group. Well, he says you probably are.
They say that every church is a hate group, every Christian organization. Billy Graham and his son are hate groups. I mean, look, Southern Poverty Law Center is the hate group. And what did Saul Alinsky teach? Saul Alinsky taught liberals that look in the mirror and whatever you are, call the other guy. So if you're radical, call him radical. If you're a commie, call the other guy a KKK or neo-Nazi. And if you're an extremist, call them an extremist. If you hate, call them the hate group. And that's what Southern Poverty Law does all day long, is they themselves are the hate group, and they call everybody else a hate group. But you know what they really are? It appears to me, allegedly, they're a scam.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard of a charitable organization, 501(c), that needs to put all their money offshore.
Yeah,
and Southern Poverty Law Center has tens of millions offshore. Why? If you're not paying taxes on it anyway, why would it need to be offshore? I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that they pay themselves grossly overpaid salaries and who knows, pensions. I'm sure it has to do with the fact they take money from George Soros and other communists offshore, so they don't want that to be reported in the United States where they get their money from, because it can't be a tax avoidance strategy because they're already tax-free if you're a 501(c) charity.
It's inexplicable. There is no reason for them to be laundering money offshore. And I think there's regulations on it, too. I don't think a nonprofit's allowed to just set up accounts overseas because they're out of the jurisdiction.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get how liberals are allowed to be such hypocrites. Kerry, every time I meet a liberal, they're such hypocrites. Every liberal I meet, personally in my circles, is a rich liberal, big shot, CEOs. And they're all filthy rich, and they talk all day long about racism. And when you look where they live in a house with a wall around it, every single time. Gated walled estates. And they all their kids go to the best private schools that cost $40,000 a year, and they've never seen a black person at those private schools. Why don't they send their kids to an inner city high school if they're so fair and they believe in social justice and equality? Why do they drive around in limos? Why do they fly private jets? Why do they have walls around their home? They're total liars and hypocrites. And a great example of that is in Vegas, And I don't want to cast blame on anybody. So don't count this as blame. Count it as questions. We just had the worst mass murder in the history of America in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And nobody wants to cast any questions in the mainstream media. But I just asked questions in my Las Vegas Review-Journal column. I got hundreds of letters saying, God bless you. You're the first guy to tell the truth and ask the right questions. The fact is that MGM disarmed the guards and made themselves gun-free zones because they have a liberal knucklehead named Jim Urin running their company. And liberal ideas fail in the real world. If you don't have guns, you can't protect the people at your hotel. The fact is that, very likely that led to him, Stephen Paddock, the killer, choosing MGM as his property. Yeah. He didn't choose Wynn. He didn't choose Venetian. Wynn and Venetian are run by very smart Republicans named Steve Wynn and Sheldon Adelson. And they have the proper security and spend a lot of money on security. But MGM is run by a knucklehead named Jim Murin, who literally has been running the company into the ground and into bankruptcy for many years now. They're billions in debt, and they tried to save money, I believe. I believe it's clear they tried to save money by skimping on security and by disarming the guards, because you pay $30,000 a year extra in insurance if you're a guard for each guard that's armed. So think of the money Jim Murin saved on like 15 Vegas properties by taking guns away from thousands of guards. But did he save money if people died and 500 were injured and murdered? What are the lawsuits going to be? How many billions will he pay out? He didn't actually save anything. He cost his company money. So liberal ideas don't work. But here's where I get into the hypocrisy. My radio show, in addition to being national, is #1 in Las Vegas.
Is that right?
And so every cop and every security guard is listening to my show. Every guy in Vegas, I'm #1 with men over 35, #1 with men over 25. And so they're all listening to my show, and they keep calling in and telling me secret things. As a matter of fact, as we do this interview, one of the most important security executives in all of Las Vegas called me and said, I want to meet with you tonight for dinner. So I'm meeting him tonight for dinner, and he's going to spill the beans on MGM.
Hey, well,
okay, so that's the kind of information I get. And so all these security guards called in on my show this week, and I said, Jim Murin disarmed the guards, and he made them gun-free zones. But I'm guessing that Jim Murin is surrounded by armed guards all day long. And all these guards called up and said, look at your email, Wayne. And I opened my email on the air live, and they had sent me anonymously photos of the security guards who had Jim Murin's security detail, and they said they're all armed. Here's their names. Here's their photos. He is surrounded by armed guards. And get this, Wayne, his son was at the pool party this weekend at Wet Republic at MGM, and his son in his bathing suit standing next to him is a guy in a suit armed with a gun who's his guard. So all these liberal hypocrites want to disarm you and me and want to stop the protection of you and me because we're surrounded by guards in a hotel with no guns, but they themselves won't go anywhere or allow their kids to go anywhere without an armed guard. If that isn't funny, if that isn't sickening, if that doesn't make you want to vomit, if that doesn't make you want to laugh and go, this world is crazy, I don't know what does.
Hey, well, it's like that commercial. They're not guards. They're security monitors, right? I mean, that's their purpose. They're not there to guard.
See, I didn't know when you go around Vegas. When you walk around Vegas, there's Vegas properties. There's all these guards wearing yellow outfits.
Right.
They got kind of a yellow, so you can see them clearly on a bike. Right, they're on bikes.
Yeah, they're on bikes,
and they're racing around the property. I didn't know. He said to me this morning, someone new called me, and he said, "I'm head of security for all the trade shows that come to Vegas. The biggest shows you can name, I had security, and I'm telling you, they've all saved money by dramatically cutting the security force in half and taking the guns away." And he said, "You know all those cops that ride around on the bikes around the properties?" I said, "Yeah, I see them all the time." He said, "They probably make you feel safe when you see one, right?" I said, "They do." He said, "You know none of them have guns?" I said, "I had no idea."
None of them?
How are they going to stop something if they have no guns?
Now I see why there's this rash of robberies at the casino cages.
Right.
Makes total sense now.
See, what I knew is I didn't know they were disarmed, Gary, but what I did know is that I thought they were armed, but they've been told to stand down because, of course, if you shoot at someone in the middle of a casino lobby, the bullet could hit 15 innocent people and you'd have $1 billion lawsuit. So I heard they were always told to stand down, never play hero, and let the guy walk outside, call the police, let the police handle it. I didn't know that on top of that, they're disarmed in the first place. I didn't realize that.
That's insane. That's
insane.
Yeah.
Just like in Europe, right, where there's a terror attack. The police have no guns.
Right.
They have to ask the special forces to come in, open up the cabinets with a key, get the guns out, and charge to the scene. Now you're 10 minutes late, and there's nothing there but dead people with blood. That's because they don't carry guns, these morons. Can you imagine the police being disarmed, how stupid a country could be? Well, that's what the casinos are doing more and more in Las Vegas.
Yeah, more and more, and it's a madness. They're as big a target, although we're going to go to the cashless society, so nobody will have to carry a gun because nobody will have cash anymore, Wayne.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
Problem. Well, that's not.
But seriously, that's a shocking, appalling gap. And the MGM executives just happened to sell all of their shares several weeks before the attack. Like,
I'm the guy who I'm the guy who pointed it out to the entire United States of America. I'm the guy who wrote the column on it 2 weeks ago. I'm the guy who wrote the column on it a week ago, and then again yesterday. So I don't know what it's about. All I could tell you is that all the top MGM executives, including Jim Muir and the CEO, tried to sell almost everything they own. It certainly appears that way during the month of September, and in some cases, July, August, September, they sold $200 million worth of stock. Jim Muir sold about 80% of the stock in his own company. You're more of a financial guy than I am, Gary. You know the stock market, right? I don't. Have you ever heard of a public CEO selling 80% of the shares of his own company?
It happens periodically. But it
only if he's going to leave. Not if he's going to stay.
I was going to say it usually means they're going to make a move.
Right, so that was my argument in my column. You know, see, again, the media loves to smear guys like me, and they want to put me in the same sentence as someone who sends me an email that says, none of those people really died at the Vegas event. They were all actors, and it was fake blood, and it was a deep state attempt to ban guns. Well, as an example, one of my best friends is a SWAT captain in Los Angeles, retired, 20 years SWAT captain and commander, and his nephew was murdered in that event. He just got back from the funeral. Anyone who wants to, any nutcase that wants to tell me there wasn't a mass murder in Vegas, there's the people with the antennas who are nuts. I ask real questions and good questions, but the mainstream media is so liberal, they want to put me in the same article they write about the nutcases who have crazy conspiracy theories. I've never had a crazy conspiracy theory in my life. As a matter of fact, every theory I've ever had and every question I've ever asked has turned out to be correct. So I'm not a crazy conspiracy theorist. I'm the only honest person in the media asking real questions. They want to destroy my reputation by putting me in an article. Do you know, all over the country there are articles about Wayne Root and the terror attack in Vegas. GQ Magazine, Washington Post, Slate, Time Magazine, they all tried to say that Wayne Root incorrectly reported the terror attack as a Muslim terrorist attack, Islamic terrorist attack. Well, what they conveniently forgot, you know, or just happened to leave out is the newspapers report on it the next day. I was reporting on Twitter and Facebook live as it happened, with policemen and police sources calling me minute by minute, telling me what exactly they knew as they knew it. And just as an example, last night I happened to eat at Gallagher's at New York, New York. I had dinner there, and I asked the waiter, how are you? How's everything? Is business recovering? And the waiter just spends 20 minutes telling me a story of what happened the night of the attack. The entire New York, New York was running for their lives. Everybody thought they were under attack. They were told they were under terror attack. They were told it was a citywide terror attack and shooters were in the lobby. And him, the chef, the owner, the restaurant owner, all of them, he said there's room in the back office for 10 people. We had the entire staff of 25 jammed into the room with the door locked, praying we wouldn't be murdered. I was reporting all of this as it happened. Everybody thought it was a citywide terror attack, and I reported that. The media was trying to lump me in with people who have conspiracy theories and say crazy things. I've been proven correct. At the Bellagio, they thought it was a terror attack. They locked down the hotel, and people were bleeding in the lobby. They thought they had been shot there, but they had actually run down the strip after being at the concert, right? So I reported what the police knew, which is gunshots at the Bellagio, gunshots at New York, New York, gunshots at Luxor, gunshots at MGM, gunshots at Tropicana. We have a citywide terror attack. Who in their right mind would hear that and not think Islamic terror attack, being that they've done it in Paris, they've done it in Brussels, they've done it in Nice? How many places do I need to name? I didn't spread misinformation. I was doing minute-by-minute updates direct from the police as it happened.
Of course. I mean,
anyway.
Yeah, well, and it's a good question. They're covering something up on this investigation. None of it makes sense. The timeline. Of
course they are. Look, I saw an article yesterday. One thing I've never covered, because I don't want to look like a nutcase, I really have never discussed on my show that whether I think there are multiple shooters, because the police swear there's only one shooter. On the internet, there are hundreds of videos proving there were multiple shooters according to those videos. I won't say they prove anything, because it's the calculations of the math and science whizzes on those videos that claim they're proving there's multiple shooters. But I haven't even gotten into that, because I don't want the media to have a chance to say Wayne Root is promulgating this theory. But what's interesting is that my friend, who's a retired SWAT commander from Los Angeles, 20 years head of SWAT, his nephew, I told you, was shot and killed at this event. Does he have some credibility? I think he has tremendous credibility. Does he have a horse in the race? I would say, being that his nephew was murdered at the event, he has very much interest in this. And his belief now is that there were multiple shooters. I was the keynote speaker at a huge Republican women's event Saturday night in Vegas. It was a national event, and I was the keynote speaker of the night. And I sat next to a woman whose husband sat next to me. The husband is a retired detective, Las Vegas. And he said, the story stinks. The story makes no sense. I don't believe a word they're saying.
Me neither.
So it's not Wayne Root. It's retired cops.
It's everybody.
Who don't believe a word that we're being told.
Everybody, Wayne. I mean, the whole thing. Look, they said the guy in 2015 made $5 million on his taxes. The IRS supposedly said this, playing video poker. You're playing $100 a hand video poker. How many centuries is that going to take, Wayne? I mean, there's nothing smells right about it. The girlfriend, the brother being interviewed, it's all wrong. It's all off.
Oh, and don't forget Jesus Campos, the security guard.
Who's not registered.
Supposedly a hero.
He's not registered. He's not registered as a security guard.
Well, forget that. Even the more telltale tale is if you're the security guard that came upon the shooting, you were the first guy there, and you got shot, and maybe you prevented him from doing more damage. That was the first story, theoretically.
Yeah.
You're a hero. Instead of being a security guard who makes $8 an hour, suddenly you have a chance to be on the cover of People magazine and Us magazine, and on the major talk shows in America. He should be on, name the talk show, Ellen.
Right.
He should be on Ellen DeGeneres' show. Yeah. He is hidden from the media, and there are armed guards posted in front of his house. He's not allowed to talk to anyone. There's
a gag order. Right. Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Who's gagging him? Why?
Yeah, the whole thing stinks.
There's so many parts of this story that stink. I cannot tell you. And by the way, all my law enforcement friends believe the reason this guy was such a huge gambler, millions of dollars risked, is because he was laundering money for some major crime syndicate, whether that be ISIS, whether it be Al-Qaeda, whether it be Antifa, whether it be the Mafia, whether it be the CIA. I don't know who it was, but this guy was laundering somebody's money because nobody gambles the kind of millions he gambled when he has no discernible form of income, and nobody gambles that kind of money and wins, like you said, according to the IRS or whoever. This guy won $5 million. Please, nobody wins at video poker. You lose at video poker.
It's there for you to lose. And the guy had a couple of airplanes. It just all fits. It's I wrote an article.
These aren't conspiracy theories. These are questions. These are just questions.
Reasonable questions. I call it disconnecting the dots. That's what the authorities, the FBI, the Las Vegas, it's the Clark County Sheriff's Office, they've all been disconnecting the dots so that nobody knows what the hell happened. And where have we seen this before? It's become an all too regular phenomena in the country where the FBI knows about somebody, he's come to their attention, and then he's a jihadi, and he winds up killing a bunch of people. The guy in Fort Lauderdale Airport, he went to the FBI and said voices are telling him to join Al-Qaeda, and gave him his gun, and they gave him his gun back. Now, why did that happen?
Well, not only that, but I never heard them declare it was an ISIS terror attack, even though he said voices were telling him to do it on behalf of ISIS. They said he's mentally ill. Well, of course he's mentally ill. Everyone who kills people is mentally ill. But the question is, are you mentally ill for ISIS or are you mentally ill just for yourself? So, look, all I could tell you is anyone who says it's absurd to suspect, not to know, but to suspect this may have been an ISIS terror attack in Las Vegas, anyone who says that is naive, is wrong, is dysfunctional, is delusional, because ISIS has taken credit for it not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. Four times they've taken credit, and everybody has just conveniently forgotten that a video was released last spring that I watched by ISIS that showed the Vegas Strip. Someone for ISIS filmed the whole Vegas Strip and then showed blood dripping across it and said, we're coming for Vegas next. Now ISIS has taken credit. They've said Stephen Paddock was radicalized. They said he converted to Islam. They even gave his Islamic name, his new Islamic name. Does that mean it was an ISIS terror attack? I have no idea. I certainly think it should be the number one thing being investigated, and I don't see anything I'm saying is anything but reasonable and common sense according to all rational Americans, which means you leave out all liberals who live in a dream world.
Yeah, and they've given us no information, new information for weeks other than changing the timeline. Nothing else
Changing the timeline again and again.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, Kerry, with that, I got to run. I've just got a meeting I got to get to.
Just
Make
tell
sure
us.
everybody knows Root for America is the website, root4america.com, ROOT, foramerica.com. And you can watch me every night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific on Newsmax TV, channel 349 DirecTV, or go to newsmaxtv.com. You can listen to me every afternoon, 6 to 9 p.m. East Coast time, 3 to 6 Pacific on USA Radio Network. And if you don't get me, go to your nearest conservative talk radio station in your town and tell them, go to USA and demand you change to Wayne Allyn Root War Now show every afternoon. We want it on our local conservative station. We're in 36 stations around the country, fast-growing radio show in America.
Excellent. All right, Wayne, we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks. Kerry. God bless.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.